I built out a plan. The plan was for 5 million top line revenue, 20% net. On the last day of that year, 2020, December 30th, it was our last selling day. We were closed for New Year's Eve. We were on our last appointment with my sales rep that day. It was at 6 p.m. and we were sitting at 4,940,000. And I'm like, I'm $60,000 short of my goal, right?
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Build to Win. I'm Jonathan Weinberg, one of your co-hosts, founder and CEO at Builder Prime. And I'm here as always with my co-host, John Kolbaska, owner at the Men with Tools, Windows and Doors by the Men with Tools. Sorry about that.
It's by the Men with Tools, Jonathan. There you go.
Yeah. And we're going to continue a little bit of the theme that we've been talking about lately, where we talk about budgeting and forecasting for the upcoming year. And so we're going to focus on what John has been doing to forecast and budget for 2026 at Windows and Doors by the Men with Tools. And hopefully that's going to shed some insight and help all of you think about how you're doing your forecasting. When it comes to the end of the year going into the next. So, all right, you ready to jump in, John?
Let's do it, buddy. Yeah, we call it our annual business plan, where we call it our business compass. This spreadsheet here was actually provided to us from Brian Kay's Success Society, and I believe Charlie Gindell. This is a version of, or it might even be his version of the business plan document that he used for many years at his Renewal by Andersen franchise. It's probably been tweaked a bit, but this is available to all of the members over there at the Wealthy Contractor Success Society. So if you want to learn how to do this, or you want this compass, you got to reach out to them and join the group.
Yeah, lots of great advice and insights, through that group. But let's jump in. Yeah. So let's start with, how do you first approach it, John? Do you do like a top down, bottom up? What's the general approach?
Yeah, so top down, typically from like revenue. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's a business plan, right? It's a forecast, right? If you don't have a plan, they say you're planning to fail, right? So you got to look at, these are projections, right? So you got to look at your numbers this year. What did you do? What do you want? What do you think your growth is going to be like next year? You got to set some sort of realistic expectations. When you get to a certain level in revenue and sophistication, the growth tends to slow down as far as like on a percentage basis. So like in 2020, I had a $1.9 million company, and I grew that company from 1.9 to 5 in 1 year. So, that's massive growth. On average, companies usually shoot for, 10%, 15%. If you get really aggressive, it's 30%. So the point I'm making is, when you're a smaller company, it's possible to 2x, 3x your company year over year, but you have to be realistic, right? But so like I 2.5x my company that year when I went from 1.9 to 5. I had that plan, right? I built out a plan. $5 million was the top line revenue. And I told the story before. I may have told it here, but I'll say it again because it's relevant. The plan was for 5 million top line revenue, 20% net. On the last day of that year, 2020, it was December 29th. So it was our last selling day. December 30th. It was our last selling day. We were closed for New Year's Eve, obviously. So we were on our last appointment with my sales rep that day. It was at 6 p.m. and we were sitting at 4,940,000, somewhere around there. And I'm like, I'm $60,000 short of my goal, right? And we have one last appointment. And it's kind of upset. I was like, you know what? We're not going to hit this thing. Because my average sell back then was like $11,000, right? So like, even if we sold it, I was going to come up short. So my sales rep calls me at like 9:30 that night. And he's like, I sold the job. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Congratulations. He's like, I sold it for $78,000. And we literally crossed over it was like $5,015,000. So, that shows you, right? Like when you plan, it's achievable, right? So, but we were working those numbers every single day, every single week, every single month that year, and we've been doing that ever since. So it's sitting down, it's coming up with a plan that's realistic. Obviously, there's a bunch of different variables, but like I said, most people will plan for 10, 15, 20% growth. That's pretty standard. If you want to get aggressive, if you're a larger company, it's 30%, right? Sure, you can 2x or 2.5x your company. Typically, you can do that at a smaller stage. When you get above 10 million, that's hard to do. Although there are some people that have done it, right?
There's a lot of times through multiple, opening new locations or through acquisitions, and there's some folks in the business that have done it before and know how to run. Right? They open a new
And
location, they run.
I met a two guys that were partners a couple years ago, and they worked with the company. I think they were both in marketing and sales, and the two of them decided to go out on their own that year. And their very first year in business, I think they went to like 18 million. It was incredible. First year
Yeah,
in business, first
yeah, yeah.
first year in business, 18 million. I don't know if they were profitable. I don't know if they had happy customers, but you know, they went right to 18 million from zero. So it's possible. But if you want to realistically, forecast, budget, build a plan, typically it's 10, 20, 30%. For us here, it's 15% that we're looking to grow to next year. So we're looking to go from we're going to end the year probably at about 11.5. We want to grow to 13.1 next year top line. So you
Mm,
work from the top. So we put that number in there, 13.1, and then it's a spreadsheet, and it gives everything else from you put in your revenue that you want, then you put in your average sale from this year, right? So
uh-huh,
our average sale was $13,500. You put in your closing rate, your annual closing rate, your lead issue rate, your appointment set rate, and this if you have a CRM like Build a Prime, you should have all of this data, right? So you put that in, and then it spits out the numbers. It tells you, okay, how many raw leads do you need, right?
right,
How many appointments do you need to set from those based on your appointment set rate? How many leads do you need to issue? How many demos do you need to run? And then how many jobs sold do you need? So it'll tell you that annually, and it'll also tell you monthly, right? Because you work in your plan typically monthly, you're looking at your numbers, right? So it
right.
breaks it down monthly. What we did was we took this compass, my team, and we baked in seasonality. So we
Right.
went back into Build a Prime and we looked at our last 3 years of sales data because we know, the marketing might not be 100% accurate because there's a lot of moving parts there, but we know we're accurate on our sales data, right? We know we sell a contract, it goes into production, it gets produced, it gets installed. If it cancels, it moves right out. So we know what our net sales are. So we looked at that over 3 years. We took the 3 years of data out. We gave it to AI. I believe you're developing an AI feature for Build a Prime too, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So actually,
It's
we could be
reporting.
able to run that kind of an analysis on seasonality and all those kinds of things
Yeah.
here coming up soon. It's not there yet, but it's coming up soon. Yeah.
Well, I know you and I have been talking. I've been busting your chops for this for over a year and a half now. So you're finally doing it. But while we wait, we took it out into ChatGPT. We downloaded the data, right? Is it an Excel? I'm not the data guy, but it's an Excel spreadsheet you can download from Build a Prime, correct?
Right. Yep.
W-
Yeah. Excel or CSV. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, it might have been a CSV, whatever. We gave the file to ChatGPT and we prompted it. We said, look, this is 23, 24, and 25's numbers. Find the seasonality, monthly, quarterly, and stuff like that. And it's funny because I've been in this business for 30 years, but I've been in the window business for 8 years now. And so I have experience. And again, I've never had any data, but I have a feel for like what's busy season, what's slow season, right? So I didn't know these numbers until ChatGPT gave it to us. It told us what our busiest months are, what our busiest quarters were. And if I had
Right.
guessed, I would have been completely wrong, right?
Right. And are you just putting in are you putting in your sales numbers? Are you putting in your raw leads? Are you putting like everything in there?
I'm
Or
putting in sales numbers, revenue, right? Because we're
yeah.
trying to build in the revenue targets, right? So
Hmm.
so I put in monthly and it averaged it out over the 3 years. And it said, okay, here's your busiest months. Here's your busiest quarters. Here's your slowest month. Here's your slowest quarter. So there was some surprises, right? Um, we actually discovered that 10.3% of my revenue is done in the month of August and 10% of my revenue is done in September.
Now, 1 month, like if you divide by 12, right? 1 month is what, like 8.3% or something like that. So you got 10% in,
You're the math guy.
oh,
Yeah, you got
yeah, so a little over 10% in August, a little over 10% in September.
yeah. Of the total revenue, 10%, 10.3% of my revenue for the full year, it's done in the month of August. 10% of it is done in September. You're the math guy. I give it to AI to figure out.
Well, I just screwed up an easy math problem earlier. I was off by an order of magnitude, but
Oh,
good. Yeah.
whatever.
Anyway,
I'm a contractor. I use a calculator. Well, now I use AI. But anyway, 10.3%. So if you had asked me before we pulled this data from I would have told you, and probably most of our listeners will tell you, my busiest month of the year is March, April, and May, right? That's tax season, right? Okay. Well, let's go to that, right? March is a pretty good month. It's 9.02% of my revenue. It's like a light green. We've got color codes here, right? April is a pretty good month too. It's 9.12%. When you get to May, it's red. It's only 8% of my revenue. So historically, right? I want to say pre-COVID, I knew that to be a fact, right? March, April, May, that was the busy season for me in Windows, right? And I'm
right.
not sure what has contributed to that, but May is one of my slower months in the business. And June is only 7.8. So May and June, pre-COVID, March, April, May, June, you look at it, you're like, oh, that's my busy season. It's not. My busy season is actually the third quarter. And historically, before COVID, that was one of my slower quarters, right? So think
Huh.
July is 9.55% of my revenue, August 10.3, September 10. So my third quarter is actually where I do, let me do a quick calculator here, right? I do almost 30% of my business just in that quarter,
Yeah.
right? If the
Now,
quarters, it should be 25, 20, if everything were even, right?
right.
Right. So blew my mind. I'm like, because historically, people traveled in July and August, right? And then things would slow down because September is when the kids go back to school. So parents are
Yeah.
buying school supplies, and
I think I actually remember that when I was sitting in your office. It's like, September would be a big cool down with back to school and everything like that.
it's actually my second busiest month out
Hmm.
of the whole year.
Okay.
And then July is my third.
There's been consistency here too, right? So like
It's
I'm
3 years.
sure ChatGPT is telling you like these are the trends.
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 years. I could probably go back 5, but I figured 3 years is more than enough. April is my fourth busiest month. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm wrong. Um, October is my fourth busiest month. April is my fifth busiest month, and March is my sixth busiest month. If you had asked me, I would have said
Mhm.
March would be number one.
Uh,
It's right.
uh-huh.
Now, I'm not surprised. My slowest month is December. That hasn't changed,
Yeah.
right? It's funny if you look. December is 5.06% of my revenue. That's fine. We're all feeling that right now, right? You plan for
Right.
that, but I thought December, January, February, that's slow season. In January, I actually bump up to almost 8%. I would have told you January is probably my second slowest month.
Right.
It's actually my seventh busiest month. So it's not a bad month.
It's approaching average, right? I mean,
It's approaching
it's
average.
approaching.
But then what happens is in February, we go down to 6.5%. It's my second slowest month. So I have my
Yeah.
slowest month in December. I get a nice little decent bump in January, and then we slow down again in February.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's incredible. So we looked at it, right? Like November is slow. November, December, and February are my three slowest months. So we started to ask, like, hey, why is that? And we think it's because of the shortened months with the holidays. So you have
Oh, because
21 days in
Thanksgiving.
September, you have 30 in November, but it's like everybody puts home improvement projects on pause around Thanksgiving. So you don't really have 30 days of selling in November. It's just like the demand just completely evaporates.
Well, obviously, we're operating in a cold weather climate as well, and
Mhm.
people are probably just not thinking to, in the winter months when it's cold to replace their windows. Like, oh, let me take this, window out of my wall when there's,
Well, you would
you know,
think that, but
freezing out.
January is the coldest month. and we have a
Yeah, so it's interesting.
right.
That's funny.
Yes,
Yeah.
you'd think
Is
that.
it promotions? Like promotions potentially driving some of it?
We run a winter promotion. So we start that promotion Black Friday, and we run that promotion from well, November, last week of November, all the way through March 1st. So, I mean, we have a slow December with the promotion, and we have a slow
Yeah.
February with the promotion, right? So we're running that same promotion. We do promotions.
People get through the holidays and then they're ready to kind
We
of
try not to do too. Like at the end of the day, when it comes to marketing, it's a different discussion. We try not to become. We used to be, but we try not to become the company that is the promotional company, right? Like, yeah, there's some promotions, and we run our best promotion of the year in the winter in those months, but we're trying to build more value and brand recognition and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't think promotion's really affecting those numbers, but we think if you think if you're in an office and you look at the demand, it significantly drops like a week leading out before Thanksgiving.
like this is all really interesting, but maybe let's take it back to the forecast and how you're using that, right? So you're modeling, the lumpiness or whatever in the monthly revenue that way, right? And this way you can actually track, month to month. Okay, well, oh, I'm you know, I only hit 7 million in, let's call it February, but wait, oh, but February is that I'm not used to hitting 7 million, so that's great, right? So you're adjusting your monthly targets so you can properly track if you're really on track for your end of year
Yeah, so
goal,
if
right?
if the goal is 13.1 million, it's going to break it down based on historic sales. Like, okay,
Yeah.
10.3% of that 13 million is going to come in next August. So we're not going to just take 13.1 and just divide it by 12. That's what most people do. Now we're going to do it accurately, right? So we can go into each month realistically with a number that we're chasing that we can realistically hit.
Right. So we're baking the seasonality into it. We're kind of we're taking that top line number, we're breaking it out month by month, right? With our
And we're baking in also the marketing data too. So like how many what's your marketing spend, right? So like
Yeah.
we have a 15% marketing budget for this coming year. We're going to get pretty aggressive. In
Yeah.
total, the marketing spend for the year is, hold on, I have it here. Marketing budget is going to be $1,970,000 we're going to spend next year.
Yeah.
But we're also baking that into the seasonality too.
Right. So you're not dividing it evenly by
Yeah.
12
Yeah.
necessarily,
The
right?
heavier months, we're going to spend more money. The slower months, based on the seasonality, we're going to spend less.
That's interesting. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, but I'd almost wonder if it made more sense if those were your best months anyway. Is it better to try to lift up the lower months and spend more in the slower months?
If you want to take that risk, go ahead.
I'm just, yeah, I don't know,
This
just
is 3 years worth
throwing it
of
out there.
data. So again, you cut me off there, but let's go back to it, right? I don't,
Sorry.
it's okay. But so we said when we discovered this, like, why is November, December slow? And then we get that uptick in January because that's odd because it's most people like, oh, it's just slow Christmas time, holiday season. And then after the holidays, say, well, people are recovering, they're paying their credit cards, it's cold in January, right? They have all the excuses in November, December that you have in January and February. So why do we get that bump up in January, right? When November, December, so why do we get that uptick? It's the same conditions, basically. And then we get that bump back down in February. We think it's because we have less demand in those months because the selling days are less. So even though you have 30 days in November, everybody stops. They leave 10 days. We noticed like up until the 20th, because we do have the daily in here too. We have daily numbers, like each day, how much it accounts for, right? And we can see in November, because we built that in too, we can see November sales are pretty good up until the 20th. But on the 21st, from the 21st to the 30th, it falls off a cliff. Same thing in December. December's pretty good up until the 20th. But from the 21st to the 31st, it's gone. In February, you only have 28 days. You don't have
Mhm.
31, right? And we don't
Hmm.
sell on Sundays. Admittedly, we only sell Monday through Saturday.
Right.
So not only are you losing 2.5 days off the shortened month, you're also losing those days. So it's like we have 20 selling days in November, 20 real selling days in December. We have about 21 and a half selling days in February. The other
Hmm.
months, we have 27, 28. We actually think it's probably attributed more to that. So you could spend
Yeah.
more money, but if you have less demand and less selling days, what's the point?
Yeah. I
I
mean,
may be wrong.
that's significant, right? I mean,
Yeah,
even five, 6 selling days is a significant chunk of the month.
significant, right? So like I've been in this business for 30 years and I've always just attributed to just, well, it's cold, it's the holidays, it's slow. And it's like, no, we do pretty good for the first 20 days of November and December. It's people like the mind switches off, like, hey, I gotta go get ready to go travel, or I gotta prepare for the party or the actual holiday. And January it switches back on. It's like, oh, okay, there's more days. There's more availability. Now you do see in like we've been lucky and fortunate here, and I think this is where the numbers could be slightly wrong. The last 3 years here in New York, New Jersey, you live here, we've not received much snow, right?
Yeah.
Now, the one thing, and our northern watchers can probably agree with this, is when it snows, right, or leading up to, like when the weatherman says it's going to snow in 3 days and 100% chance, people stop. People stop calling.
Hmm.
They don't want sales reps in their home. They don't want estimates, right?
Right.
And then you probably have that for like 3 days after the snow till everything clears. It's like people almost going like this hibernation mode. So like I know some of my friends that live in like Michigan and Wisconsin where it gets really cold, their winters look much different than mine. It's
Yeah.
people the selling days. I think it's because you're losing selling days. The demand contracts, right? So you can see
Hmm.
that with weather patterns too. But
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
it's been really cold here this year.
So far, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I heard the weatherman say that what are we recording this December 12th? They've said like for the last 2 weeks we've had like a January weather pattern.
I think was it Christmas last year? I think it was either Christmas last year or the year before. It was uh, the below 0 Fahrenheit. It was frigid,
Yeah.
right? We've been getting some cold December weather, but anyway, this is
Well,
not the weather
well,
podcast.
we were talking about weather, right? Because it can affect
Yes.
you, right? So the point I'm making is we haven't received much snow here. So if we get a lot of snow here this year, this could impact the projections. Because one thing that I do know is when it does snow, it's tumbleweeds in the office.
Right.
So if we get a bunch of snowstorms, I'm going to be having to adjust this.
So, are you looking at the Farmer's Almanac and trying to predict?
But again, this is just me thinking strategically. This is me planning. This is thinking of all the other variables that could affect the business, right? These are things like, hey, if that happens, what can we do? But it's interesting. Like we literally, if you would ask me, like I said, it's just it's just slow season. But we're starting to see some things here, and I may be wrong, but we're starting to see some data here that's bringing up, forcing us to ask some interesting questions. And I'm starting to see things, and I discussed it with my executive team, and we all think it's the shortened demand cycle, the selling cycle
Yeah.
in those months. So anyway, I just
Yeah.
wanted to talk about that because that's important because people may see the same thing in their businesses too. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the reason that we don't spend more, I think, in the slower months. That was a long answer. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense though, right? I mean, that makes perfect sense. We're forecasting, month by month, right? We've got our top line number. We break it out according to the seasonality. You're working backwards from, close rate, demo rate, issue rate, set rate, raw lead. And now you have to think about, right? And correct me if I'm wrong and you're doing it differently, but how do I actually hit those so we're going up by 15% this year. How do I hit the increased closing rate, or how do I hit the increased inquiry, raw lead count? Um, like, are you looking at each step of the path here to see where you can?
This is based on 3 years worth of data, right? So my closing rate historically, I don't think I have that input. Hold on. Yeah, I do. My closing rate over the last 3 years, because we average it out,
Mhm.
is 33%.
Okay.
So that's the target. So
Hmm.
we know going into this year, we need to be at 33% minimum. Now, if we improve that closing rate, we're going to get better results, get more jobs sold, right? And then we also know that based on 3 years worth of data, um, on average in January, we generate about 697 opportunities. So if we generate 800 in this coming year and we increase our closing rate, these numbers are going to get better. But these are just benchmarks, right? These are benchmarks that you judge against when you're going into your meeting and you're looking at your numbers weekly. It's like, am I on track? Am I off track? This is an EOS thing, right?
Hmm.
How are we
Right.
performing against the last 3 years of data? Obviously, if you're doing better, you're generating more leads, your closing rate goes up. It's great. Like at the end of the day, we're gonna exceed these targets. That's kind of what we're using those numbers for.
So if you're using your historical rates, right, for
Historical rates.
closing, for demo, for issue, for set, you're really at the end of this, you're saying, okay, well, if I'm going to hit 15% higher top line revenue, I need 15% more leads.
So yes, right?
Unless you're, I mean, higher prices could factor in. There are different things that can factor in, right?
Yeah.
You can. So and really the thing I'm curious about is like you can pick any of those steps
Yeah.
and say, oh well, we're going to do something different in the call center, and we're going to set more appointments. We're going to set the appointments at a higher rate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even if we don't get 15% more leads, we can still get 15% more appointments.
More appointments. Yeah. Well, because I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you're spending 15% more, you should see that lift, right? There is some diminishing returns, but you at least have a number to hold your marketing manager, director of marketing accountable to. Like this is the
Yeah.
target. That's what we like to call the MAG, the minimum acceptable goal, right? So that's what you need to hit. And if you do better, if you hit that or you do better, you get bonused on it. Their comp plans are laid out based on these numbers. It's the same thing with the sales manager, director of sales. Like it says in the month of January, we're going to need to sell 96 jobs. We're going to need, well, that's 96 jobs, right? And we're going to need to sell $1,094,846,000. Well, his comp plan, his bonus for the month of January is going to be based on that,
Hmm.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's the top line. I mean, he could sell less jobs and increase his average ticket, but at least he has a benchmark. When he's going it daily, weekly, he's going to say, am I on track? Am I off track? He's going to be able to look at the numbers and say, does this look right? He's going to turn the dials. He's going to know, right? He's going to have a plan every month. On the marketing side, like we like to look at demos because we know that if you get us in the house, the rep, they're going to close 33% of them. So I tell my marketing manager, yeah, all those other numbers are great. Raw leads, appointments issued. But at the end of the day, if you get us this many demos, we're going to hit that number
Hmm.
of top
Yep.
revenue, right? So I
Right.
tell him to work there and then work backwards, right? Start with demos and then work all the other numbers backwards. If you're more efficient with generating more raw leads, are they quality leads? Are they turning into
Sure.
appointments, right? So at the end of the day, because I hired a marketing director a few years ago, and I was like, hey, I need more leads. And he's like, oh, okay, great. He's got all this experience. He seemed great. He came in, he got a shit ton of leads. We gave him a marketing budget, he hit it, but we couldn't set him because he asked a wide, broad net. And it was just like, oh, okay. So at the end of the day, we spent money. We had a lot of raw leads, but we had less demos. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, the marketing manager needs to be focused on demos, and that's here with the baked in
Yeah.
seasonality.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's how you comp and bonus them too, right? I mean, it's not just based on raw leads. It's got to be based on actual revenue.
The only thing I comp my marketing manager on is demos. Because if he's hit that demo number, he's done
Yeah.
his job. Because that's the point in which the marketing has passed the baton onto the sales reps, right?
Or I mean, I usually think about issued lead as when the baton gets passed over, but
It's not because you can issue a lead. You can set a lead, you can issue a lead, and the sales rep can get there and it could be completely unqualified.
It's not supposed to happen. Well, okay, I get it as far as why you would want to comp the marketing manager that way.
Demos.
But you should never, you shouldn't, the process shouldn't really allow for that to happen very much, where you set an appointment, you confirm an appointment, and it's just completely
Yeah,
unqualified.
like we have a lead issue rate, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Or a demo rate, right?
Hmm.
He's responsible for all of those numbers. Demo rate
Yeah.
too, the sales manager is responsible for it too, right? So like if
Yeah.
like you call it managing to the exception. If you issue a lead and then we use AI software that records the conversations and it no demos, well it's an exception. So at that point, like if we had that happen, we get an exception report. My sales manager goes in, they listen to the recording. My marketing director goes and listens to the recording, and we discover, well, was it a lead that shouldn't have been issued, or was it just the sales rep didn't do their job
Yeah.
correctly?
Right.
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 But at the end of the day, I know he pays attention to all those numbers, but I know if he demoed, he's done his job. Right.
Right.
Because if you've gotten them to give a demo, you've given the sales rep, the sales department the opportunity to close. Because if you're just holding the revenue and you have a sales team that's struggling that month, say the sales manager is doing a poor job, you might not hit your revenue target, but that's not the marketing director's fault. And his cost of marketing is now way up too, because the sales reps, they were in a funk. You see, they're intertwined. So the way we do it, that's just the way it works. But anyway, we're getting off target. That's all baked in here. We have, like I said, we have raw leads. It's here. It's a guide. It's a guide post from the use. The number of appointments every single month. The number of leads issued. It's right here. The number of demos. The number of jobs sold. And then they know the rates because we didn't. We actually we took the rates and we programmed in last year's now 3 years numbers. So we know.
And we talked about, your marketing budget is going to be 15%. Is that because you're raising your top line? That is not, that's not related to the top line being raised by
No.
15%.
We're just
But
we're in
it's
growth mode.
yeah. So
Yeah.
but 15% is a little higher than average. Probably the average is probably somewhere in like 8 to 13, something like that.
Yeah.
It's a little higher, but that's, yeah, but growth mode.
There's some companies doing 18 to 20 in growth mode and they're still pulling a 15 to 20% net profit. At the end of the day, you have to figure that out in your profit model.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are you targeting in terms of the gross profit?
So this year we're targeting
I'm
50
sorry, I guess I should say net.
profit. I know what you're saying. Yeah, between
Yeah.
15 and 18%. Yeah, that's what we're shooting for. We used to
Okay.
shoot for 20, but we're shooting between 15 and 18. The reason I want to do is because we've actually ran some data based on my market size, and we have a very small sliver of market share here. So we have a plan to gain more market share. So a lot of that is, marketing and branding and doing stuff like that. So we've decided we headed to the next 3 years to spending a little more money so that we could generate more leads primarily. And then secondarily, um, we could build a little more brand recognition within the market so that we can continue to take some market share.
On the budgeting side, we talked about the increased marketing spend. What about headcount? Like how are you thinking about?
That's where I wanted to go. That's actually here
Yeah.
too. So it tells you monthly um, how many sales reps you need with a
Yep.
20% bench. So you should always have a bench because sales reps, they very rarely do you have a sales rep that performs, at a top tier rate consistently. They're up and down. There's a lot of inconsistency. So you want to have that 20%, but sales reps, they go on vacation. So you want to have that 20%.
Sure.
So it's built in. And it tells us in January we need 10. In February we need 8 because of one of our slower months. Well, we'll keep the 10. March, April we need 10. May we need 9. June we need 10. July and August we need 10. So it shows us sales reps. Then it also shows us the amount of call center reps that are needed with a bench, right? So we keep a 20% bench there too. We call them part timers. So yeah, in a call center.
Yeah.
So it shows,
Yeah.
and then it also shows us how many crews we need to be able to produce the work, production seasonally, right? So like it says, to produce the work in January we need 6, in February we need 4, in April, I'm sorry, in March we need 7, April we need 8, So what we do there is we've actually done that where we bake it a month behind because you order it. There's a cycle. There's an ordering.
Yeah, there's a lag between sell and
There's a leg.
install.
Okay? So like,
Mhm.
even though we want to sell almost 1.1 million in January, December is typically slow. So we only need 6 crews. We have 6 crews of installers right now, right? But we want to grow, like it says in August, our busiest month. I'm sorry, in September, which accounts for our busiest month, we need 8 crews. So my production manager knows for us to hit this number, he has to build 2 more crews onto the team by September,
Yeah,
based on our sales.
yeah.
So he knows I have 8 months, 9 months to build, get 2 more trucks outfitted, and get 5 or 6 more installers hired. Because again, we keep a bench. We keep a bench in everything, right? Like, so 6 crews is 12 guys, two men per truck, but we have 15 hired installers. Well, sometimes we
Mhm.
use them. We do a bigger job. We send a 3-person crew out. But
Right.
if we can only use 12 and we got 15, well, we know we have our A players, our B players. We don't keep the C players around, but we rank them in terms of importance. So we keep our best guys fed every single day, even in the slower months like December. Things
Mhm.
slow down. January, things slow way down. Our top 8 guys are working every single day. The rest of the guys are getting what's left.
So it sounds like, I mean, there's the most fluctuation in the crews, right? In the installation side, you go from 4 crews, which is like 8 guys, to 8 crews, which is 16 guys.
Yeah.
How are you handling the? I mean, yes, you have to ramp up, right? That makes sense. You're ramping up to the 8, and you ramp down. Is it is it through subcontractors? Is that how you're kind of
No, no, we don't.
handling it?
We don't have any subcontractors. We have all in-house W-2 employees.
Okay.
So what we
And
like,
do you keep everybody through the slow seasons and everything as well?
yeah, we keep them through the slow season. Our guys at the back, it's not that we don't give them any work in February, but they'll go
Hmm.
from working, 5 days a week in the busy season down to 2. But I find things for them to do, right? So there's always a list of things to do, uh,
Yeah.
in the office, in the warehouse, in our showrooms, in my own
Right.
personal house. So I'm typically giving them work at least one day a week through those slow periods. So rather than working 5, they're working 3, sometimes 4, right? Like,
Yeah.
this year, in our Staten Island showroom, we're doing that staffless showroom where we're taking staff completely out. And we'll buzz you in through the door and we allow people to walk around without any sales staff. Right now it's staffed, but the showroom is now 8 years old. It's a bit dated. So our plan is right after the holidays. My mother sits in the store over there. I'm going to kick her out of there. She's going to go home. She's going to work remotely because she's more of like a call center. She calls. So she's going to work from
Yeah.
home. She's going to continue to get paid, but we're going to shut the showroom down for 4 to 6 weeks. We're going to completely renovate it.
Hmm.
So we have a large project to keep a lot of guys busy. So we'll have all of our staff working through that slow period. There's always stuff to do.
So yeah.
And
So you're okay. So you're on your budget. You're factoring all this, this cost in.
production is very important. You have to keep them fed because that's like the most important asset you can have in your company because you shouldn't outsell production. Because if you do,
Yeah.
you get yourself in trouble. And a lot of us experienced that during COVID, right?
Right.
So it's like
Right.
when you lose a crew, well, you lose the potential to install X amount, sell X amount, and then install X amount, right? So they're a very valuable asset. So you can't just leave them home and be like, well, go on unemployment or just sit home and play video games. Because guess what some of them are going to do? They're going to go work for someone else, and then you're going to lose that production capacity.
So all right, cool. So we got our marketing budget. We got our headcount plans. I'm sure there's certain kinds of managers and things like that in there. So if you exceed a certain headcount in a certain area, you might need to add a manager. Um, but what else? Is there anything else that factors into the?
I mean, yeah. So based on these projections with headcount, we went in and we reorganized our org chart for the coming year, right? So we added in some positions. Like we realized that we're going to need to go to 13 14 salespeople with a bench, right? So we realized that with that growth, it's probably going to be too much pressure on our sales manager, right? He can probably only manage 6, 8, 10 people at a time. That's what I think. So he was really stressed out this year with managing our current group and to add more. So we created what we call a squad leader. That's a Brian Gottlieb thing. So we created a squad leader in the sales department to be able to take on this new talent. And we actually are hiring a sales trainer, a full-time
Oh,
sales trainer, because now we're going to start recruiting consistently monthly. So we've added 2 positions into the sales department on the org chart, right? It allows you to plan.
right. Right. Yeah.
So your
Makes sense.
your org chart changes too. Now, one thing that I discovered while I was away at the Success Society when we were talking about this in November is I met with a gentleman, super smart dude named Josh Blickley. And we went out at night to the cigar bar. We're hanging out. We're talking business. And Josh is one of the smartest guys in this business. And he owns a big company, bath company. I think it's in Michigan. It's probably in Michigan. When he talks, I listen. So we were talking about, the business plan. And we're talking about it here is in November. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I told him, I said, I'm going to go home and I'm going to do this business plan because I do it every year in November. And he's like, well, it's actually too late. He starts his business plan. If I remember correctly, he starts it in August,
Okay. Yeah.
builds it out, and then I think he said he presents it to his team in September 1st, and then they go over the numbers and they kind of finalize that plan by September 15th. And the reason that he does it, he gives them 2.5 months to prepare for these numbers for the upcoming year.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of
It
sense.
makes a lot of sense. So I've been doing this after Thanksgiving every year, usually late November, early December.
Right.
And then I go to my team and I'm like, here's the numbers. And they're like, oh. So next year, 2026, I'm going to complete this. I'm going to start it in August and I'm going to complete it by the middle of September so that we
Yeah.
have the time to prepare.
Yeah.
It's too late
Yeah.
to do it for this year, but next year, you bet your ass. That's what I'm going to be doing from here on out.
Yeah. We've got to do something similar. We're still finalizing
Yeah.
ours right now. And it's January's right around the
You're
corner.
leader than me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
A good practice. Again, I always listen to the people that are smarter than me, right? And I I learned all this stuff from talking and listening to smart people. I haven't done anything or created anything. I've just copied people and listened, right? And implemented. Like I said, I mean, August, I'll be doing it that way every single time from here on out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's another really big plug for Success Society, right? I mean, it's just some of these insights that you're able to gain and learn from others who have been there, done that, are ahead of where you're at.
Yeah.
It's just
All the
it's
stuff that you and
invaluable.
I talk about, it's all been learned from groups like the Success Society, going to these events, talking to people, um, networking, right? Like I have a lot of these people's phone numbers. Like when I run into a problem, I've got 100 people I can call and they can help talk me through it. And there hasn't been a problem that I couldn't pick up the phone and call somebody for and get their feedback and get an answer typically to the solution. I mean, I've got friends and people that I talk to that have $2 million businesses. Just because they have a business that's smaller than mine doesn't mean they don't have great ideas. I've learned some pretty cool shit from small companies, and then I've friends that own $200 million companies. Right? I have access to all of these people. So you go to these events, you join these mastermind groups. It's worth the investment. I could have never grown to the point where I am in this business without all of those resources and stuff like that. Because I'm just an average guy. I'm just a contractor. There's no, unlike you, there's no formal specialized education. And even if even they don't teach this shit in school. Like there's no college course for running a professional construction business.
I mean, well, all right. I think there's some principle. There's some things, you can go to business school or, in marketing and things like that. And
You can.
that's,
And
I
hold
mean,
on a second. Hold on. And my daughter right now is attending in Villanova
yeah,
University, right?
Yeah.
And the stuff that they're teaching is brilliant, right? Blow my mind. But they're not teaching her how to run a construction business.
No.
They're teaching her how to run a Fortune 500 company.
Uh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's different.
Yeah, there are things that apply, but it's a different approach. It's a different mindset. It's a different scope.
Which is
Yeah.
why I'm paying for a college, and she knows that when she graduates, she owes me 3 years in my business. So I'm going to pay her, but she's going to work for 3 years in my business, and then she's going to make the decision if she wants to take it over or go somewhere else. But she's going to have 4 to 6 years of an excellent education in Villanova, right? And then she's going to have 3 years of real world experience working in a small business.
Yeah.
So by the time that girl's 24 to 27 years old, she's going to have a nice, diverse education experience in, the Fortune 500 side and then the small business contracting side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And you could become a
So,
multi-millionaire in this industry right here. Just
well, yeah.
slapping in windows and doors, man. I know we're going a bit off topic, but I just want to tell people, they talk about all this AI and stuff like that. And yes, it's going to affect our industry. It's probably going to significantly reduce the call centers and maybe affect. It's going to probably be more on the marketing side and a bit on the sales side. We're actually already seeing it, right? Call centers are going to be completely eliminated um, in probably 2 years. You'll have a manager just managing the AI prompted, right? Um, but there's not going to be any AI that's going to slap a window in
Right.
or a door.
Well, the robots are coming. So,
Yeah, but hold on. Hold on. They've been talking about the robots coming in this. And my father told me this in 1988. You don't want to be in the robots are going to be installing windows and doors. We're in 2025, almost 2026. They've been saying that the point of making for years, right?
we're a ways away.
It's a great industry to get in, right? No offense, John, but maybe computer programming and stuff like that. The specialized,
Hey, it's for sure having an impact there. Yeah.
you guys are going to get your ass kicked in those industries. This is a great business to get in. If we're talking to a 20-year-old, go be a plumber, go learn plumbing, go learn electrical work, go get in the window and door industry because AI is not gonna kill this business, and the demand is going to be there, right?
Yeah. So no, this was great. This was really interesting. I learned a lot. Hopefully our listeners did too. But that wraps it for another episode of Built to Win. So thanks for being with me again, John, and we'll be back with you in a couple more weeks.
Thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.